Hi, friends. Quinn Red Mountain here, and I am excited to share a little bit about my newly re-edited and republished with a brand new cover and a new name and totally current book, which is called We, the Beginner's Field Guide to Full Circle Animism. And for those of you who don't know me, so what is animism? And my simple description of that is that we are all connected in the sacred web of life. Animism, we could say now, I mean, our ancestors didn't call themselves animist, but we might say that all of our ancestors, before the religions that we know now came about, we were all some form of animism, which means earth honoring, connected to all the beings here on this planet and beyond. Not only humans, that humans aren't the only important ones, right? That we're not the only sentient beings, that all the animals, the plants, also the mountains, the water, the air, the clouds, the weather, we're all part of this connection, this web. And we all have our own version of our own life force, and we're all related, right? And that might sound, oh, isn't that nice? But it's true. And I think that when we really look at how our world is going and how things are connected, COVID has really shown us that, boy, things are connected in a lot of ways that maybe we didn't quite notice or we weren't taught were connected previously. Now, full circle animism, what is that? So full circle is a phrase that I learned about back in my 20s. And so I've applied it to this little branch of animism, mainly because I am not qualified, or I am not trying to say that I speak for all animist people around the planet, because there's a lot of people who are still practicing their unique tribal or culturally lineaged way of connecting with all that is. And that's what we need. We need a lot of biodiversity. So I am not speaking for all of it. What I mean by full circle animism is that there are those of us, whatever package, physical package we're in, that we come from a lineage that has been separated, atrophied, severed from our original animist ancestral ways, that we have been made to forget that we even have such ancestry. Those are the ones that this book is really written for, because if someone has a handed down cultural way, then you already know these things. But there's a lot of us, I've had to, that's what this book is me figuring out, well, what is all this and what is my way? Because I wasn't taught. I had to figure it out. I had to listen. And this book also describes different ways of listening and reconstituting or remembering what is your way, what is your path in an animist way. So the parts of this book, it is a workbook, meaning, there's lots of exercises in it. There's lots of ways for you to ponder. I share from my perspective, and then it's like, well, what comes to you and what has been revealed to you? So the method, a lot of the methods that are described in this book for connecting are ways that are available to all humans. Intuition, dreams, connecting with the other realms of reality, like spirit world and where the ancestors are, and connecting with other beings in an intuitive, empathic, sensitive way. We've been taught that that's not real, or that doing that is bad. Trance, rhythm, connecting with plants for teachings and cleansing and honoring, that these things are human. No one can say that any one group of people can't have access to that. There are many cultural ways that are specific and cannot be appropriated, borrowed, taken without permission. But there are lots of ways that we do have access to. So the chapters, well, first I'll say that the introduction and the conclusion, which is kind of a preamble for what's coming, are about how important it is that we do this work now in this world at this time. It is essential. There's our own personal healing work, our personal reconnection, our connecting with the world, with nature, what we call nature, that thing outside of us, right? That is wild and natural, assuming that we are not. How important it is on a global scale, climate emergency reasons, as well as interpersonally, interculturally, it's essential. Ancestral work right now, we cannot keep not doing it. There's a lot of trauma in all of our backgrounds. It is handed down to us. Some horrible things have happened. And we are acting those out again and again in culture now, right? Between groups of people. We see it in the news right now. So that's how we start and how we end. And then in between are chapters around important ways to reconnect and to really check in with how is it for me? So the subject areas are connecting within through what I call spirit world journeying. You may have heard it of shamanic journeying. It also touches on that shift of between shamanic and animist, and how to not appropriate or be inappropriate with the words that we use, how to connect back with the land, and how to honor the people who've always lived on the land wherever you've lived. But doing our own reconnecting in our own ways. Then also personal healing, personal and ancestral healing. We can't skip that part, because if we do, we just keep acting out of trauma and challenge. And again, there are different exercises to help prompt that, like, well, what are my issues? And then also ways to do journeys and meditations and writing to approach that, if not completely heal it, at least to see where the tender spots are, so that you can go forward with that work. Also, connecting with the sacred world around us, starting with our body. Most of us have been taught at some point that our bodies are not sacred. And that's not true, right? So to start with our body, moving out, moving into seasons, elements, directions, moon cycles, place as sacred. Very important. We've been culturally taught, anyone who has grown up under various forms of monotheism, capitalism, colonialism, patriarchy, if there's things to own and resources to glean, but they're not beings to honor. So there's that. There's also getting answers, which is that the world is a synchronous, magical, speaking place. And when we need answers, we need help. And who can we ask for that? How do we engage in a natural way for us that is asking for and receiving the help we need when we need it? And then another aspect that's addressed is self-care for sensitive people. Very important. How in our everyday lives can we recognize the ways in which we need to and are able to tend to ourselves, so that we can keep going, to keep doing this work and being a helpful person in the world, first to ourselves, right? And then there's this preamble to what's coming. And interestingly, the last re-edit of all of this and writing the conclusion that takes us forward, I did this summer. And so during COVID, during so much upheaval and that we're still in, of figuring out, where are we going with this culture? and how important reconnecting to our sacred selves, being responsible and kind and protective for each other, and also as a planet, people who live here in this place. We are creating the future right now. What kind of future are we creating? Not only for us, but for the young ones, for the future ones who aren't even here yet. That is on us. We're the ones figuring that out now. That is the place in which animism, full circle animism, the process of reconnecting between those of us who are shaking off patriarchy and colonized mind and saying, wait a minute, I am not crazy and I am not bad. I need to find an honorable way forward of being a person in this sacred world. And then how to act that out in culture couldn't be more important. So that's my book. I hope it's helpful. It might even like frustrate you or make you think or make you feel things. And that's the way we go forward, having difficult conversations and finding ways to soothe our pains and soothe the broader pain of separation, of isolation, of the trauma of multi-generations that are in our bodies that we keep as a culture acting out over and over. So I hope it's helpful. And you can find out more about me as a person and some of the things that I've worked through and how I've gotten here to write this book at quinn.com, QUYNN.com. And also, throughout this whole time, these whole 20 some years, I've created an entity, a being of it on its own called Web of Life Animist. And all of that's where all of this is utilized, and how it, well, where it came from was from that spirit work that I've done. And that you can find out about at weboflifeanimist.com. And I deeply appreciate all of you who have picked up my book, that I've worked with you in circles. Those of you who are supporting and helping this information get out there, thank you. Thank you. And if you're new to me, I look forward to working together. I offer lots of live circles and there's pre-recorded options. We need to do this work. So thank you for being open to it. And I look forward to working with you someday, one way or the other. Many blessings.